DreamWorks Animation's 2006 family film Over the Hedge follows an eccentric raccoon RJ as he struggles to feed himself in his solitary existence. The entire premise of the film can be viewed as a piece of contemporary cinema honouring the work of theorist Karl Marx, who believed that society is negatively divided due to the conflict between varying class groups and that capitalism will ultimately lead to the suffering of the lower class divisions through the wealthy privately owning large sectors of the economy, leading to the bourgeoisie upper class individuals benefiting from cheap, lower class labour that is provided by the poor, who will accept this work as a means to simply get by. RJ, who represents this lower class system, attempts to steal food from Vincent the bear, who represents the rich. Vincent has hoarded large amounts of egregiously processed and indulgent produce, which ends up accidentally being destroyed in a struggle between the two. Vincent demands his food to be replaced, or RJ will become the edible substitute for the destroyed snacks. Marx wrote in his book The Communist Manifesto that oppressor and oppressed stood in constant opposition to one another, carried on an interrupted, now hidden, now open fight, a fight that each time ended either in a revolutionary reconstitution of society at large or in the common ruin of the contending classes. In relation to Over the Hedge, this fight between RJ and Vincent leads to the common ruin of contending classes, as RJ infiltrates a group of tight-knit woodland creatures that live off of what the forest provides for them, which can be viewed as a commune, and deceives them into helping him collect food for Vincent by revealing to them the suburb behind the hedge. This suburb represents capitalism, and the foragers are immediately captivated by the novelty of this luxurious and artificial way of life. The only skeptic who does not willingly accept this culture is Vern the box turtle, despite the land being threatened by the expansion of the suburb cutting off the natural food supply. A particular scene which explores this push and pull between capitalism and communism is between RJ and Vern, when Vern takes all of the collected food and attempts to return it to the quote,
to the rightful owners,
because they have quote,
angered the human.
Vern is accepting his submissive role in the capitalist hierarchy, while RJ desperately tries to get the food back. As they push and pull between them, the chain they are going back and forth over represents the thin and fragile line of living under a capitalist society. Samir Amin wrote in his review The Communist Manifesto 170 years later that the imperialist system for the centralisation of value is characterised by the acceleration of accumulation and by the development of the productive forces in the centre of the system, while in the periphery they are held back and deformed. Development and underdevelopment are two sides of the same coin. The suburb is the development which is harming the lower class woodland creatures through its expansion, while the forest they live in is struggling to provide them with enough food. This insinuates that to establish order, a middle ground has to be met. However, when Vern stands up for himself, he is quickly silenced by the dog that is attached to the chain who attacks him, which can be seen as the corrupt forces within capitalism that ensure the lower class are kept passive and complacent. This tyranny over the lower class is conceptualised by many different images and camera angles throughout the film. Continuing the theme of Vern representing the passive slave to the economic hierarchy, there are two instances of this being communicated to the audience. The first when he sees the suburb for the first time and there is an ornament of a box turtle holding up a vase, which is representative of the lower class crippling under the weight of feeding the greedy bourgeoisie. And the second being upper-class children whacking open a turtle-shaped piñata, which embodies the rich's lack of empathy towards the struggling impoverished that, through their compliance, secures the elite in their high-up status. The animals are also constantly shot from a low angle to signify their lack of power within this society. The superficial items and objects always appear to be monstrously looming over their heads. Over the Hedge ends with their anti-capitalist message.
That's what families do. They look out for each other.
I've never really had anything like that.
I know. But believe me, this is the gateway to the good life.
This film's conclusion agrees with Marx's theory. Capitalism is not the gateway to the good life that it is trying to sell to you. Community is more important than economy.